Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today I want to talk about my Battlefield 4 wish list. What I want to see in Battlefield 4 multiplayer. Now, Battlefield 3 is an excellent game. It has the best and most rewarding multiplayer experience that I've ever experienced, and I think that there's just so many innovations and great things about the game, but that's not to say that there can't be improvements or things that I would like to see in BF4. That's what we're going to be discussing today. Now, that information about dynamic maps that was leaked a while ago that gave an example of, say, a dam exploding halfway through a multiplayer battle, flooding the map, and then the map layout would literally be different. Something where players could change a major factor of the environment. For example, the antenna that comes down in Caspian Border, that would be a cool element to add to pretty much every map. Not necessarily an antenna, but something that players could actually activate themselves. So say if the antenna was destroyed by putting C4 at every single one of the cable supports, then it would come crashing down and divide the map and add new bits of cover. That would be awesome, and I would love to see dynamic stuff in maps like that. A map where maybe you're fighting on giant aircraft carriers and you could literally like partially submerge an aircraft carrier, or an aircraft carrier could be sinking and you're battling through it as it's sinking, so different rooms become available to you. Other things like that to just add a new level of dynamic elements to multiplayer gameplay, something that not a lot of games have really ventured into very much, and if Battlefield could pull it off, it would be amazing. Now, on the smaller side of things, I would love to see the return of the AT-4 guided rocket launcher. This was player guided, so it wasn't lock-on guided, and it really added that level of skill to the game. I'm not a big fan of lock-on rocket launchers. They're annoying, let's be honest. And the AT-4 was just something awesome to watch this missile flying through the air, kind of doing all these dynamic curves that the player was controlling, and you could even hit a helicopter or tanks from really long range, or if there's a moving jeep, you could try and curve the missile really long range and hit that jeep. And when those things impacted and hit the target, it was such a rewarding experience. I would love to see that back in BF4. Along the same lines, I would love to see the return of the XM8 assault rifle, even though it never really made to full production. There was test models out in the field. They look awesome. It'd be really cool to see them in Battlefield 4, even if the story was like the Chinese stole the design for the XM8 and used it in their own military. That would be a cool way to get it into the game. The M24 sniper rifle from Bad Company 2. Such a cool, iconic sniper rifle system. Would love to see that bolt-action sniper back in BF4. And speaking of sniping, it would be really cool to see the Recon class get a nice little bump. Maybe give them some machine pistols, give them the option to carry an Uzi as a sidearm, give the Recon class a little bit more workability. Would love to see some updates to the Recon class and some new tools to make them a little bit more competitive, because let's be honest, in Battlefield 3, they kind of got the crappy end of the stick. You know, they can't really hold up to a lot of classes at most ranges, and most maps don't provide enough extreme long distance situations for them to be truly effective. Now, let's not forget about vehicles. There's a lot of really cool military equipment out there that hasn't really made it into Battlefield games yet, or hasn't made it into the recent Battlefield games. I would love to see the return of the Apache attack helicopter, one of the most brutal helicopters in the world. It just comes loaded with everything, has great maneuverability, looks awesome. I want to see that back in BF4. Now, there's some other cool concepts, like what about the new stealth Black Hawk helicopters? It'd be cool if DICE did a rendition of those, put them in the new game, and gave them some cool stealth abilities, like maybe you couldn't lock onto them. That could add some really interesting elements to some maps, like maybe a rush map where the US was attacking, and these helicopters would provide great transportation, and they wouldn't have to be worried about getting locked onto. So it could be a really cool way of getting troops into the battle. Now, if DICE had enough balls to put a V-22 Osprey into the game, that would make my day. For those of you who don't know what the V-22 Osprey is, it's an aircraft. It's not an airplane, it's not a helicopter, it's an aircraft. It's an airplane that has the propellers on the tips of the wings, and basically these are really large propellers, and they can turn inverted so that the aircraft can hover and do vertical takeoff and landings. It's a troop transport, so it can fly very, very fast at pretty much propeller airplane speeds, faster than a helicopter. And then when it needs to land, it can go into VTOL landing position and land people anywhere. So this could be a really awesome alternative to getting troops around the map really quickly. I'm not sure how you would work it into the game. You might want to give it some cool miniguns on the side or something, but it would be awesome to see that in Battlefield 4. Now, rumors have been suggesting the return of Commander Mode in Battlefield 4, something that I'm excited for but also frightened by because it has pros and cons. If you have a really bad commander, they can screw up the game for you. You always have the option to vote out your commander, but sometimes they can already do enough damage, and by the time you get a good commander in there, your team is kind of on a losing streak. But one of the cool abilities that I would love to see return from Battlefield 2 is the ability for the commander to drop supply crates in usable areas. Now, rather than supply crates, because I think infantry are so good at rearming themselves with support class and medic class, it would be neat if the commander could airdrop things like APCs or tanks. This would provide an awesome way for the commander to sort of reinforce the attacking side, and unless the commander dropped those directly in the enemy territory, then there's probably not a lot of ways they could really hurt your team too much. Now, how about weapon customization or character customization? Having played the latest Medal of Honor game was really kind of inspiring with the weapon customization. All the different awesome camos that looked really, really good were fun to pick from, and they had some really cool sights on the guns as well. They were very specific to military gear, realistic military gear. They had really cool micro red dot sights. I would love to see DICE expand their arsenal and give you tons of more modding options for your guns. Now, how about character customization? Customizing the way that your player looks is something that's actually kind of important to me, and it's highly successful in many games. I love getting in there and trying to figure out how I want to make my character look, or if I want to outfit them in a way that's going to blend into the environment really well, or maybe even giving them gear that affects how they perform. Now, I don't want to get too crazy with Battlefield because in its simplicity, I think they found a really nice balance, but it would be cool to add in some aesthetic changes that you could customize, and if people saw you, they would recognize you. Say, giving people a whole option of different kinds of helmets that they could wear, different sort of goggle attachments, different torso armor, different leg armor, that kind of thing, and maybe allowing them to customize the color scheme a little bit of it. Nothing too wild, you know, keep it to standard military camos, but to the point where if I was running through a battle and I saw a soldier that was a friend of mine who I played with frequently, I would be able to recognize them visually without having to see their actual name tag. That kind of thing would be really neat, and I would love to see that in Battlefield 4. So anyway, that kind of wraps it up for my thoughts on what I would like to see in Battlefield 4. I would love to hear your guys' opinions. Some of the best ideas I've heard have been in the comment sections of these videos. So please let me know what you guys want to see in the new Battlefield 4 videos. And I know for a fact that EA and DICE are looking over some of these Battlefield wishlist videos to get some input and some ideas for their expansions, because a lot of their expansions have not been finalized yet. So even though maybe the Battlefield 4 core game is going to be kind of a ready package already, the expansions can add whatever the heck they want to it. So we can actually influence that right now. So again, love to hear your comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.